So I played two very different pixelated games recently, one being a fairly new release and one from 2016. The one that came out in February earlier this year is called It just successfully came out of Kickstarter as a local multiplayer dungeon crawler. The one from 2016 goes by the name Gunmetal Arcadia Zero, not to be confused with its second installment, Gunmetal Arcadia. Usually you see sequels to things add words, not take them away, so I guess if there ever is going to be a third installment, it's going to be called Gunmetal. Back to that first game though, it seems to be an action-adventure platformer, like we don't have enough of those already. So I gave them both a chance. I started with Crawl, about over a year ago. I played the game while it was in early access, enjoying myself immensely. Skipping forward to this week where I played the final version. There is so much polish here, it's crazy. The first game and foremost supports lonely people like myself without any friends to play locally with. Now what that boils down to is that you can play with bots, so you can actually play the game. There has to be 4 players, and if you don't have that many friends like myself, the remaining spots will be filled with bots. The game essentially starts off with one person going around a dungeon, killing monsters, collecting XP, and money to buy new weapons. Once they reach level 10, they can try to escape the dungeon by killing the beast. There's a catch. All the other players are ghosts. They can control traps in the dungeon and try to kill the person, or they can become the monsters in the dungeons themselves. Obviously, they want to kill the person alive, but if they are successful, they become the player that becomes alive, while the player who gets killed turns into a ghost. So it becomes this really dynamic race to see who can reach level 10 first and kill the beast. If no one is able to kill the beast on the 3rd attempt, the game is over, and everyone loses. The person able to end the beast wins and escapes the dungeon.
To escape this place, I must follow the markings to unexplored caverns where there's creatures to slaughter and harvest their essence, which increases my power until I'm strong enough to open the portal and face the beast. That rotting cyclopean horror standing between me and escape.
The game has a lot of cool systems in place that allow the player that is alive to gain special abilities and keep their loadout even after they die. Okay. There are many monsters to unlock so that everyone can play as new beasts with cool new abilities, and it's just an overall fun game. Now let's contrast that amazing new game with something more familiar. Familiar in the way that there's a new iPhone that comes out every year and only a little bit changes. Gunmetal Arcadia, don't forget the zero, is a callback to the classic days of Metroidvania pixel action adventure platformers. Itself is not a Metroidvania game, but takes some mechanics from those old games nonetheless. The character is slow and only has 1 speed. You can basically beat the game by moving to the right the whole time, occasionally poking with your sword. The UI elements are very reminiscent of that old style of games as well, with all the information being displayed at the top of the screen in a black box. The limited color palette and just overall package of the game is a product harkening back to the old days. It doesn't claim to be a new take on that old formula, just another admirer. Simply put, it's shit, unless you're looking for that kind of experience. So you have one game who embraced their aesthetic and took their gameplay and polished to the next level, while you have another that is simply uninspired and is pretty boring. Graphics can be a limitation for wide appeal, especially if it's a pixelated game, but if your game has heart, people can look past the graphics for the amazing gameplay that lies inside.